7 minutes before top of the hour, 10. You're still tuned into News and Views with myself, Salailo Makwidire. And we're going to be having a very, very concerning conversation around South Africa's winter initiation season, which has once again been marked by tragedy. At least 43 initiates have died across several provinces, while authorities have also recorded around 75 hospitalizations, 180 rescues, 58 illegal initiation schools, and 150 criminal cases. There were 40 arrests and 12 reported abductions. All of these are happening through the winter initiation school season, and seeing Mahlangu recording the highest number of fatalities, followed by the Eastern Cape. In response, the CRL Rights Commission has announced the establishment of a Section 7 committee, which will investigate more than a decade of initiation-related deaths and examine failures in implementing the Customary Initiation Act of 2001 and recommend reforms before the next initiation season next winter. Joining us now this morning is George Mahlangu, Deputy Chairperson of the CRL Rights Commission. Mr. Mahlangu, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to News and Views. Really appreciate your time.
Good morning, Slailo, and good morning to all your listeners and viewers. Thank you for having us.
No, the pleasure is all ours. But Mahlangu, I want to start with, I think, what every winter South Africa hears the phrase, the fact that there's another initiation death toll. This year is 43 lives that were lost. At what point do we stop calling this tragedy? At what point do we stop calling this a tragedy, rather, and start calling it, I think what is clear for everyone to see, a systemic failure in our initiation schools and the implementation of what is set out to be implemented by the various provinces and the initiation schools that are at fault here?
Well, I think the people that label it as such, you can't fault them, because to send messages of condolences, and once again, I send messages of condolence to the families that lost their loved ones. But to be doing this every season is not good. It is something that is really traumatic to not only the families but the communities that are in and around where these fatalities take. I think as the Commission, one of our mandates is to promote and protect culture in this case. And we felt that we needed to do something. And in doing something, it means that we need to then establish a stronger mechanism that will probe deeper into the issues that led to the fatalities, but also to look at where are the gaps in the execution of our law. We have the Customary Initiation Act, which has to be adhered to and complied to by everybody. So we need to therefore use this process to dig deeper and see where the gaps are. Why are people not in jail? From a few seasons ago, because the Section 33 of the Customary Initiation Act talks to the various offenses that will lead to you being imprisoned. So we need to see where there are gaps in the system, but also to look at some of the shortcomings within this legislation that results in the illegal schools mushrooming. So there's a number of issues that this mechanism will allow us to dig deeper and provide a recommendation that is implementable.
I want to come to what the Commission has now established, which is the Section 7 Committee. Can you give us a bit more background and insight on that? What powers will this committee have that maybe previous investigations or oversight mechanisms did not have or couldn't do?
In terms of our act, the CRL Act of 2008, what this section provides us with, it gives us the powers to investigate and to invite and summon people to come and give evidence under oath, meaning that we will be able to secure relevant documents, relevant information that will allow us to conduct this investigation. So, in other words, it will give us the authority to call anyone that is that we need to source information from or to give evidence. And it's different to a normal investigation in that sense, in the sense that everyone will have to take an oath or an affirmation to be to testify in the hearings, and out of that, then we will gather accurate information and have recommendations that are precise. We will be able to interrogate the data that is raw and get the necessary details, because I think when you have this situation being persistent, you need to then go to the detail level of understanding to ensure that you find long-lasting solutions. So this process empowers us to do that.
And, I want to ask a question that, since these numbers came out, a lot of South Africans have been asking themselves the question around the relevance of some of these practices, initiation schools obviously being at the center of this conversation this time around. Are they still relevant, seeing that, things are not done correctly, and you have losses of lives almost each and every year? Are we slowly pushing ourselves to a point where we can see a total ban of some of these customary practices, especially amongst initiation schools?
Well, we are always guided by the Constitution of South Africa, and therefore this practice is recognized in terms of our Constitution. So it is not for us to even say that this should be banned, or certainly no one is forced to practice it. But I can tell you, Silailo, that the overwhelming majority of our communities in the country practice this culture. This culture is, as in some communities, it has been practiced in starting from the 1200s, meaning the 13th century. So it is an age-old custom and practice that has a significant and great meaning to our communities. And I think with these fatalities, one of the things that is never highlighted is where this practice is done properly in a culturally authentic way, the joy that it brings to those communities when their sons go through this rite of passage. So we can't also punish those. I think what we need to do, we need to deal with the systemic failures in executing the legislation. We need to look at the shortcomings of the legislation. We need to look at the social challenges, social and economic challenges within our communities. We need to look at the criminality that seeks to commercialize this practice. And these are just issues that plague this sector. But overall, where it is practiced in an authentic way, there are no issues. What we need to do is to see what interventions will work in 2026. For instance, the interventions from medical doctors, for instance. And here we are talking about medical doctors who have undergone customary initiation themselves, who can then come in and assist in the initiation schools so that we preserve and uphold this custom as a way of life for those communities that practice it.
Very important. And you speak about medical practitioners. In some of the reports, there were some very disturbing allegations that medical practitioners were actually prevented from accessing initiates because, I don't know, they felt like it took away from the purity of the practice. How serious is the commission treating some of those claims, and also the involvement of Amakosi and Indunas in the upcoming process? Are they going to be involved because they are the custodians of our culture and our practices? Obviously, one would assume that they wouldn't be disassociated from this commission that you guys are going to be having.
Indeed, and this is in Mpumalanga where we heard of such reports. Indeed, the commission is going to look into that precisely because prior to the initiation season starting, the province of Mpumalanga had thorough preparations and measures to deploy interventions where it was required. So we will look into that because that is a criminal act to prevent the saving of lives. So we will look into that and ensure that we unearth and understand who are those people that would have prevented medical practitioners. We understand that, in fact, in that province, a court interdict was sought in order for medical intervention to be given to those schools. And I think through that process, further loss of life was reduced because then through that court interdict, they were able to then rescue those initiates and save their lives. So we are going to certainly look into that. But I think we call for it simply because of the various factors that we have seen affecting this sector, that this intervention will go a long way in ensuring that there is a good balance between, because here we are not talking about people, you know, the sacredness of this culture is that if you have not undergone customary initiation, you can't get access inside an initiation school, you know. So in this case, this will alleviate the challenges that are faced inside the initiation school, and it could be various challenges. I mean, you know, when I went to initiation school, for instance, the process didn't start when I went into initiation school. It started a year before I go to initiation school. I don't know how to say it in English, but there's what we call uguzila, where you go through a period that you don't do certain things and so on and so on in preparation for you to undergo initiation. So our children do not have those opportunities. 3 months before initiation season commences, there's certain specific things that you need to adhere to, and our children are unable to do that because often they are at school or at university, and therefore we are trying to balance all these things with that. So this medical intervention will assist in that respect, in that at least you will be assured that the initiates have adequate caregiving measures that are put in place.
And I think it's very, very important to almost, have some of these traditions evolve because of the needs of the day. I'm pretty sure the practice, as you mentioned, how it was done from those hundreds of years before to how it's done now is completely different because of the needs of the times. And I think that's currently what's needed right now, to evolve it with the times. And I think having medical doctors go and be part of this process is one that's definitely needed. I'm scared that the more we have these numbers of initiatives not coming back, we are slowly pushing ourselves to a point where there could be a total ban on this very, very sacred practice that I think as Black African people we thrived on, and as you mentioned, it brought a lot of joy to the families and communities of those involved. Otherwise, Mahlangu, thank you so much. Really appreciate you giving us your time, and hope we chat again soon.
Thank you very much and have a good day.
There we go. And with that, we've come to the end of today's edition of News and Views. Myself, Selailo Makwidiri. I'll be back with you again tomorrow for the Thursday edition of the show. But from myself right now and everyone that made today's edition a possibility, is bye. Shop, shop.